Hello, I'm Sogard, a read writer. Today I'm going to be talking about my initial experience learning the Russian language, up until the point I decided to visit the Russian Federation. During the pandemic, I embarked on several endeavors, the first of which was finally sharpening my chess skills. I started a routine of everyday practice on chess.com, as well as watching the Queen's Gambit, which had just come out on Netflix. I also took several master classes during the pandemic, such as Garry Kasparov's on chess, as well as Neil Gaiman and Margaret Atwood's creative writing courses. The pandemic allowed me to reshape my life in a productive fashion, filling my days with chess, creative writing, as well as exercise. I enjoy swimming and running, and maintaining a balanced schedule helps motivate my other goals. My discipline in all these areas made me realize I could take that same motivation and use it for a language I was passionate about. Starting off strong, I found several YouTube channels which were very helpful, but none more so than Daria Malkanova's Real Russian Club, in particular her Zero to Fluency course. The first video in the series dives into learning the Russian alphabet, some basic phonetics, grammar, and also vocabulary. Each of the videos is also paired with practice homework. My plan was to combine this amazing course with daily Duolingo practice. Of course, there are varied opinions about the usefulness of Duolingo. The biggest criticism I can see is that there is not a heavy focus on grammar, especially in the Russian course. That being said, it is a very fun app, and it encourages repetitious behavior in language learning. First off, it should be mentioned that Russian is one of the most difficult languages for an English speaker to learn. The Foreign Service Institute has created a list of how difficult it is for English speakers to pick up certain languages. There are 5 categories of difficulty, the first of which is the most easiest, and the 5th being the most difficult. Russian is in category 4. A projected 1,100 hours of rigid practice is needed to reach general professional proficiency, which is a rather vague term. What's clear is that learning a language takes discipline, dedication, and a daily commitment. It will be no shock that I'm also a fan of Bald and Bankrupt's YouTube channel. His approach to learning Russian is very simple: vocabulary, vocabulary, vocabulary. The Russian grammar system is incredibly daunting, especially to new learners. My advice is to get as comfortable as you can in the language before jumping into any complex grammar. This approach is actually known as the Lexical approach, prioritizing vocabulary over grammar to increase the comfortability and confidence of new learners. After a month of this routine, I could already write and read in basic Russian. By the time of my 25th birthday in July 2021, I had wrapped up the 30-video Zero to Fluency course. Once you begin learning a language, the goal is of course to practice it in person. Finding a native speaker can be a challenge. Of course, in-person practice is the ideal for any language learner. Putting myself in a Russian-speaking environment was the key to my success. Quite surprisingly, a Russian-speaking restaurant had just opened in downtown Vancouver, and I decided to apply and eventually got hired. This motivated me to continue learning Russian, as well as save money to visit Russia once pandemic-era restrictions were lifted. It seemed that the decision to start learning Russian was a wise one, and was paying off in many ways. The pandemic really helped me to see the value of free time and how to use it most effectively. By this time, I was committing all of my energy towards my goals: learning Russian, saving money to visit Russia, earning my bachelor's degree, as well as writing my series, Stories of the Allmaker. At this time, I was also just starting to get illustrations made for my series of novels, of course made by my friend Adrian. 2021 soon came to a close, and I started the new year with ambitious goals. As I embarked on these goals, there were many challenges along the way, but like with anything, having good people around you makes all the difference. My girlfriend Lena was one of those people. We had met collaborating on cosplay content and had planned to meet once the pandemic restrictions were lifted. To my surprise, she had sent me a Valentine's Day gift, a Russian language copy of 10 Days That Shook the World by John Reed. John Reed was a revolutionary and journalist. He visited Russia during the Russian Revolution of 1917. The adventurous nature of John Reed had always inspired me, and I wanted to harness that same boldness for my own pursuits. As global tensions rose, I was becoming increasingly nervous if my plans to visit Russia would come to fruition. However, I continued with my goals, learning Russian, earning my degree, and writing my series of novels. I also realized that in order to spend a longer amount of time in Russia, I would need to seek employment in the country. And so I decided to become an English teacher, combining my passion for language, creative writing, and of course, for Russia. Watch this video where I explain how to get TEFL certification and to seek employment abroad as an English teacher. In the next video, I will be speaking about the Soviet connection, my 2-month-long journey across Turkey, Egypt, and of course, Russia. If you haven't already, consider watching the first video where I discuss how and why I started learning the Russian language. Thank you for watching.